Hey folks, this is the other Barak coming to you live and direct from an undisclosed location. We have an update from President Donald Trump regarding stopping the Israeli proposed strike on the Iran nuclear sites, and we have to see why. This background is pretty unique. I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to be here for a few days. Let's get into the video and talk about it after.
Israeli attack on Iranian nuclear facilities. Can you comment on that? Is that accurate?
And they say the attack is what?
That you waved off an Israeli plan to attack Iranian nuclear facilities.
I wouldn't say waved off. I'm not in a rush to do it because I think that Iran has a chance to have a great country and to live happily without death. And I'd like to see that. That's my first option. If there's a second option, I think it would be very bad for Iran. And I think Iran is wanting to talk. I hope they're wanting to talk. It's going to be very good for them if they do. And I'd like to see Iran thrive in the future, do fantastically well. I know the Iranian people, they're incredible people. Always have been very smart, very energetic, very successful people. And I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt anybody. I really don't. But Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. It's, pretty simple. It's really simple.
I want to walk through here. This is timesofisrael.com. Let's just take a look quickly at some of the details. Trump blocked the Israeli proposed joint attack on Iran to pursue nuclear deal. President Donald Trump quashed Israeli proposals for a series of joint strikes next month on Iranian nuclear facilities, opting instead to try for a diplomatic solution. Okay, I want to get back to this in a little bit. To the problem of Tehran's nuclear program, the New York Times reported Wednesday. His dismissal earlier this month of Jerusalem's plans, which Israeli officials has discussed with their U.S. counterparts and were ready to carry out in May if they could secure your support and participation, resulted from internal divisions in the Trump administration, the report said, citing administration officials and others. Sources briefed on the proposed attack said it was aimed to set back Iran's ability to break out to a bomb by at least a year, but months of debate among Trump's aides on the issue resulted in a general consensus against military action as Tehran showed signs of being open to talks, the newspaper reported. He declined to discuss plans regarding Iran when Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu phoned him on April 3rd, not too long ago, and instead invited him to the White House 4 days later. With Netanyahu on his side at the Oval Office, he announced that he had initiated direct talks with Iran. Those talks began April 12th. It is currently April 20th here as I'm filming this video. So I want to say a few things. In the video that we just heard, the clip from Trump, he talked about how he does not want anybody to get hurt, that he's interested in having finding a diplomatic solution with Iran. If you've been following the Middle Eastern conflict since the 7th of October, let's pretend that you were just brand new on the 7th of October, and you've taken a look around both the Israel perspective and the Palestinian perspective, and you've done even just a little bit of research into, and let's say you knew nothing, done a little bit of research into what the IDF is, who Hamas is, who are the Gazans living who are the Palestinians living in Gaza, who is Hezbollah, who are the Houthi rebels, what happened in Syria, and who is Iran. What does it look like with China and Turkey and Russia? If you've done a little bit, you'll see just the far majority of these groups, if not all of them, inside of the Middle East, these militia groups, these satellite office branches, come from and are bred by the IRGC in Iran. The IRGC and the regime there, head by the, quote, head of the snake, the Ayatollah, has built himself satellite offices across the Middle East in order to take out this small little country called Israel and then make its way west, starting with Israel, the little Satan, and making its way west towards the big Satan, the United States of America. All of this information is out there on the internet. You don't need to hear it from me. It's all accessible. It's on Wikipedia. You can even Google what the little Satan is, what the big Satan is in 1979 with the regime overthrow. Like you can go in and you can find it. Why am I saying all of this? You have here the President of the United States, who to many in the anti-Israel camp currently in 2025, have deemed as a massive, massive contributor to, quote, the war on Gaza, the war on the Palestinians, the despair. Why? Because they continue to send aid and fund Israel, the IDF, in order to secure their borders, to defend themselves, and to wage war against Hamas and all the other groups who have since then decided to join in on the mayhem and the madness against Israel. after the 7th of October outbreak and massacre in southern Israel. And you see at these protests, these radical anti-Israel protests, signs with Bibi's face, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Trump. You see people calling them out as these two figures who obviously have a good relationship, who obviously are two leaders in the world, who obviously have interests to help each other out. Why? Because the US and Israel are massive allies. The US is Israel's biggest ally, and Israel is the US's biggest ally. They are best friends, and they've always been, and they always will be, and I've been saying it for a long time. It doesn't matter if the president is Trump or Kamala or Shmamala or Pamela. The US and Israel will always have this connection. But a lot of people in the world have seen Donald Trump as a massive contributor to the war on Palestine. So they basically blame a lot of the bloodshed, a lot of the deaths, a lot of the despair, the footage that you see coming out of Gaza. Yes, they start with the IDF, but they work their way up to where? The top of the food chain. And the top of the food chain, of course, in this case would be Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Trump. I just find it fascinating when you listen to what he's saying. He is not interested, in his own words, having anybody get hurt. He's not interested in having this war, but he knows very well Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. If they have a nuclear weapon, it's not just about Israel. President Trump has to protect the United States of America. He's the president. And he knows what the intentions are of Iran. It's on Google. I'm encouraging you to go check it out. And he knows what could potentially happen if they have access to doing so. Where is another opportunity right now on the table? And if it's somewhere, please tell me where. Where is there another opportunity to try and calm the situation between the US and Iran, between Israel and Iran? Where is it? I'm searching and seeking another diplomatic solution other than trying to come to the roundtable discussion and talk about how we can solve things without expanding into a war. Trump stopped Israel from this coordinated attack that they wanted to pursue on the nuclear sites because he's interested in showing that he is willing to talk, willing to negotiate. He said, I hope Iran's willing to talk. I hope they're willing to come to the negotiation table. And what I'm seeing here is it's just the irony behind this whole thing is that a lot of the anti-Israel people across the world have blamed Benjamin Netanyahu and President Trump for not accepting the proposed ceasefire deals that are being thrown out to the table by Hamas, because on their perspective, on their side of the media, they look at things through the lens of Hamas is proposing deals to Israel 24/7. They're proposing the idea of having a ceasefire in exchange. What they're not seeing is that it's completely flipped. And it's not just flipped based off my subjective bias. It's flipped because Israel, not just in 2023, not just in 2024, and not just in 2025. Israel, since its inception in 1948, has come forward with opportunities to have peace, with opportunities to negotiate, with opportunities to speak amongst their neighbors, and their neighbors have continuously rejected any peace proposal or solution or diplomatic opportunity, aside from Egypt, of course, which they have peace with. Aside from Egypt, to come to the table, I believe that was in 1978, don't quote me on that, come to the table and figure out a solution. And we're in the same situation right now. Here we are, President Trump, allies with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, coming to the table publicly, live on television in front of the whole world, saying, I am willing to speak to Iran if they are willing to speak to me. Where is Iran? The ball is now again in Iran's court. The ball has been in Hamas's court over and over. The ball was in Hezbollah's court over and over. They didn't want the smoke. They got the smoke. They didn't want that. And if they did, they didn't get what they actually wanted in the end. They thought it was going to be the beginning of the annihilation of Israel. It will never be the annihilation of Israel. What lesson hasn't been learned yet? Israel isn't going anywhere. Like, people need to swallow the pill. You don't have to love Israel. It's not going to go anywhere. Where is it going to go? At what point through history, when you look at the wars waged on Israel, it has beat every possible outcome ever. 5 enemy states attacking it simultaneously in 1948. They won. 67, they won. By air, they win. By foot, they win. Yes, there are security failures, and we saw a big one on October 7th. But you know what's interesting? It's April 2025. Israel's still there. I still live there. I'm going back there soon. And I'm going to continue to go back there. It's going to continue to be Israel. It's going to continue to be the state of Israel. You have to accept it. I don't know what else you're waiting for. You're waiting for some miracle to happen. The miracle will never happen. It doesn't exist. It's not in God's plan. Don't say inshallah. It's not going to happen. You have to step out of that frame. And you have to look at some of the leaders in the world who are actually willing to try and solve something versus trying to instigate and further things and deeper and make things worse than they already are. That's what I'm always looking at objectively. Is who's coming to the table, and if so, are they trying to A, mitigate what is happening, or B, instigate things further? It should tell you a lot about the intentions. Thank you so much for all your support. I'll see you next time. If you want to continue the conversation, you can support my work for free. Discord does not cost a thing. It is the best way to connect with me and others who are seeking the truth. The link is in the description. But if you want to take it one step further, my Patreon gives you access to the Israel you don't see, uncovering the untold stories of what mainstream media does not show you. The link is in the description, and it helps me to continue this work. Or if you're just looking to help this thing go, PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee is a really easy way to support me. This channel, this work does not happen without all of you. Thank you. I love you. I'll see you next time.